Welcome to Code Creative. I'm Travis Tolson.
And I'm Sarah Tolson.
So, before we get started tonight, I did want to do a bit of a plug. So we've been steadily working towards actually doing UI builder type
Stuff.
development.
We'll get there. We promise.
We will get there eventually. But for those of you who wanted to jump in on UI Builder and start learning a little bit, ServiceNow has a UI Builder live, a build along month going on, and I'll plug this down into the chat. So basically, you can build an application. They've kind of given a setup and scaffold for the project. And basically, you can go in and complete these stories that they've kind of prepared for you to go in and develop. And so this is a great way to kind of get in there on UI Builder and learn some of the basics and but have a directed approach, so you're not just like, oh, let me throw some components and see what happens. This gives you something to actually build towards. And they're actually going to be building this on the UNI Builder Live as well. Your version of this app doesn't have to look exactly the same as theirs, but that way you can build along with them and learn the ropes on UI Builder. So definitely something worth checking out. So I wanted to give that one a plug.
Were you trying to share your screen with that?
Yeah, I was.
It looked like you were, but I couldn't tell.
Ta-da!
This is great. Brad and Maria Gabriella have been so good about not just this build along, but other little initiatives for Hacktober and stuff like that have made it, given you opportunities to step-by-step build on UI Builder, because it is a bit of a learning curve. But it's so good to see that kind of enablement.
I really love this approach too of building out a set of stories, so that developers can go in and kind of practice implementing with a semi-directed approach. It's not quite like a lab where it's like, do this now, do this. It's a little more open-ended. I think that's really cool.
But that approach is going to be familiar for those of us over in agile development land too, which I know. And then it's going to this is the objective that you're trying to reach. And maybe here's some Good Story has technical approach in it for some recommended way of doing things, but that's cool.
And I love it for folks that are kind of new to development or are trying to break into the industry, because this is a very realistic approach to learning development and learning how to develop applications.
Cool. Well, maybe y'all will finally convince me to put my hand to UI Builder again and try it out.
So this is a great way to do it, and you can build along in Build Along Month.
Nice. So when are we going to get to build along? Not tonight.
Not tonight.
We're being responsible developers, and tonight we'll be working on the take turn part of the logic in
yeah. So tonight, for what we're actually doing, what we are actually doing is in Flow Designer once again. I'm really hoping that we're going to wrap up the Flow Designer side of things tonight.
I think everybody is hoping that we're wrapping up the Flow Designer side of things tonight.
Hey!
I mean, it's been great, and it's been good to see and step by step go along with you to see how all the logic is built and everything. But we want to see some UI stuff, because that's what this helps us build the lab or build the app entirely. But the UI builder part was what they came to the lab to see.
My flows are no longer sick. Now y'all are just sick of my flows.
Yeah, there you go. some point, I want to make some snazzy ServiceNow related T-shirts, and one of them be related to flow designer flows. But today is not that day.
All right. So we're working on the take turn.
Okay. So.
And basically, last time I kind of realized that I was going to have to rework a little bit of this logic because initially I had things nested, and I think the nested may actually be the better approach. Because any way you slice it, I'm going to have to update the game command and the game event record. So why have that in multiple places when I don't have to? Like, if I unnest it, I have to update the game command and the game event if missed. I have to do it again if not sunk, and then I have to do it again if the other condition, if game over is met. So instead of that, I actually want to move these down to the very end so that I'm only doing each of these once. There we go. And that also means that I don't want to end the subflow here because I have to continue that all the way to the end. And it means that I'll reorder that one later. Let's see. So, in order to do it this way, I'm probably going to have some flow variables. So we have 3 conditions: hit or miss, ship sunk or not sunk, and game won or not.
Wait, so what exactly is a flow variable? Because like you have the I guess I don't know if you call them variables, but the little info pieces, the pills from your records and your different tables. So how do flow variables relate to that?
You can think of a flow variable as basically your, from a developer's perspective, as your var or let variables inside of a function. So once I create a flow variable, I can set them anywhere in the flow, and I can retrieve their value in the flow. And you'll actually see they'll be listed right up here under flow variables.
Okay.
So
we're going to create some variables for those 3 different pieces that you mentioned.
Right. So I think I'm going to go with a basic string on, I don't know, let me think about this. If miss. Is there a way to do a choice? No.
There has to be.
No.
Nope.
All right, so we'll just do.
I'm looking this up now, just so you're aware.
Let's take a look, because what we're going to have to set eventually is our event record is the main thing that's going to change. And I think maybe our game record. So basically on our game event, we're going to have to set a couple fields, but we're also going to have to set a couple things on our game. So we will need to update our winner. We may need to update our current turn 4. So we'll have to swap our current turn 4. I may have to mark a ship as sunk, but that won't. Okay. So it looks like the main thing I'm going to have to update is on the event record. And for that, we will have to set our hit marker. We will have to set our ship sunk, and we will have to set our winner. So these are the three things that could be variable depending on our conditions: hit marker, ship sunk, and winner. So I'll need 3 variables at least. It may be more than that. And that was hit marker.
I'm going to interrupt you to tell you that Ryan Beverly has popped into our stream to say hello.
Hey, Ryan, how's it going? So Ryan is a friend of mine from way back in the day when I was in the Marine Corps.
Oh, hang on. Wait. I have a thing for this. Okay, there we go. Now you can continue.
Dang it. Did you have that one ready to go?
Yes, I've had that one for a while. But anyway,
well,
Ryan
I
is
guess
a friend
certain
of yours.
things are just predictable with me. Let's see. Ship sunk. And so this one needs to be a reference to
I exist in this thing just to troll you, and it's great.
Oops. Game command, game event. X underscore 0505. There we go. This one, the ship. We want a reference to the ship. Back in my day, we didn't have no fandangled scopes. Everything was a global application.
You know, I was just typing in the chat, but the way y'all talk about the way the platform used to be in the early day, like, low-key terrifies me.
And our game winner is going to be a reference to the user table.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that gives us 3 variables that we can set now. As you can see right over here up in the top corner. So
now your variables are there for you to use however you see fit.
So if we have a hit, and I need to change that to is hit, then I need to set one of those flow variables. And that's going to be the hit marker to hit. I think, yeah. So the first thing we need to do is set that flow variable to hit. And then I need to update the game cell record on that to hit, which we already had that one set up previously. And that's just going to look up our game cell record that we looked up here in step 2. So we're getting the record from step 2, and we're setting its hit marker to hit. Then we will want to look up to try to find any game cell record for our opponent, where the player is not the current player, for the ship that we just hit, and the hit marker is none, because right now we're not actually using the miss, and I may have to get rid of that one. Does the hit ship have any does the hit ship have any remaining cells without a hit marker? So that's what this query is looking up. It's trying to find a cell for that ship that was hit, and it's trying to see if there are any that were not hit. So then we're going to move this if condition up into here. And once again, I have to flip this. If error message let's see, is not empty means nothing was found. So is sunk is going to occur when there's no error message. That means there's, or wait a second, let me think. Error message means nothing was found. No unhit cells equals is sunk. Yeah, I think that's right. So I think is sunk is going to be when the error message is not empty. Let me zoom in a bit here. All right, so now if it's sunk, I'm going to zoom out just a bit there. There we go. It was a little too kludgy on my side. All right, so if that ship was sunk, the first thing we have to do is update and we're going to update the ship record that we hit.
To say it was sunk?
Or not.
About to say, did we put a flag on there?
No, I think so. In the previous version, I had in the previous version, I did this a little bit differently, and a ship that was placed had its own record, and so I had to update that ship to being sunk. In this one, I don't actually have that. So I actually don't need to update any ship record there. Because all we have is the game cells. So
and the game cells will have been marked by your other actions. And...
right. It'll already be marked as hit. So basically we've just determined that something was sunk. So for that, we need to do a set flow variable because we want to set our ship sunk
to true
to the ship that we looked up.
Oh, just kidding.
So if the ship is sunk, then the next thing we need to do is we need to do a lookup.
You know, when you like do the logic out loud like this, all I can think is if it weighs more than a duck, we need to make a flow designer flow for that at some point. This stream is nothing without pop culture references.
Let me copy this one. So I'm going to duplicate this action because it already has a lot of the logic that I need.
Oh, that's a nice shortcut.
Duplicate. There we go. So now we've got a second one. And I can move this one down into here. Because now that we've determined that the ship doesn't have any, now we need to check to see if there are any. Now, I could probably have done this all in one lookup. Maybe it would have been faster. I don't know. Let me change one thing about this because I only need... Okay, I've already got it set to return only the first record. So then on this one, are there any ships remaining? So for this one, game, player, the thing we want to remove is the ship criteria, because now we want to look up any game cells for this player. Are there any game cells for this player that have not been hit?
So it's in a sense systematically looking like, okay, did it hit a thing? Yes. Okay. What are the ramifications of hitting that thing? Is the ship sunk? Yes. Okay. Are there any other ships? So it kind of goes up the chain to check for victory condition.
Right. Is it hit? If it was hit, is it sunk? If it was sunk, are there any ships remaining? And so now we've got that next if condition. If so, for the victory condition is met, we need that step 9. We want the error message on this lookup. So does this lookup find anything? If the error message is not empty, and I hate having to do it this way, I wish the lookup record had a count on it, and maybe I should do lookup records, but then I could do count, but I don't think it uses glide aggregate, so I think it's slower. I think this is still the most performant way of handling this, even though I hate the logic of it. So if the victory condition is met, if there's no ships remaining, then
put a meme on there that has the bully from The Simpsons going, ha, ha.
Then our flow variable one, we have to set our flow variable. Our winner
to the user who still has ships remaining.
Let's go back to our game record. So from the game record, so this is where this kind of comes in handy, this players, because basically what I have to do is I have to, there's a player that issued the command, and that player is going to be one of these two. The other one is the opponent. So I have to determine who the opponent is.
And that's really easy in a 2-person game. So that's really easy in a 2-person game.
Or actually, in this scenario, the person who committed the action is the winner. So this one's actually real easy.
Nice.
Now up here, I want to do one other thing. I don't know. Can I? I want to set the initial values for these hit marker, miss, ship sunk is none, winner is none. So that'll set our initial values. So if the victory condition is met, we set our flow, we set our winner. Then we're going to have to update our game record from our command, from our input. because I need to set the winner in here as well. And that winner is going to be the player that committed the action. Is there anything else we need to set? Not in this one.
At this point, do we set the game to like completed?
So once, let's see. No. Yes. Yeah. Good call. Yeah, because under any other condition, it's not completed. So this would be the place to update it to completed. So then that should update our game record. Then the last thing that we, well, before I modify our final actions here, there is one other thing we have to do. And that is we're going to update the game record. And you'll notice that sometimes the when you're doing these flows, like if you're not making really good use of flow variables, the flow will not result in the most performant execution. Because like I'm updating the game record, and then I'm updating the game record again. I'm doing it back to back. Obviously, calling 2 queries when you could call 1 is generally bad. Like it might be smarter of me to turn around and let's see. I would have the winner there, so I could update that later. I could probably shift this. Let's do that. So because I've got my flow variables, I can defer the update to later. And so basically what we'll do here is we'll say the winner is our winner flow variable. Our state and I'll toggle scripting on for this one. Return, let's not do it that way. Let's do an if statement and keep things sensible. If fd data dot flowvar dot winner return, what's that game state? Show choice list is completed.
I think that aligns with what Jace is saying here, that the winner is going to be empty unless we set it.
Yes. So basically, because we have set an initial value up here, winner is blank by default. And so, and I think it would technically be blank by default anyway. I just wanted to make sure of it. But when I get down here.
But do you need code to do that? Or is that just like making extra special certain sure?
That flow variable should be empty here, so it would set it should set the winner to nothing. It should be the equivalent of setting winner to an empty string. If the so I shouldn't need any extra code to ensure that. On this one though, I do need the code because if a winner has been declared, then our state is completed. Otherwise, we're still in the playing state. And then the last thing we need to set, let's collapse that one, is current turn 4. And that's going to be another scripted one. FD data dot subflow inputs dot game command dot game dot players. So equal to that dot split, I think. Well, let's toString split it. So basically, the players is getting this list right here, and it's going to get a list of sysids. And what we're going to do current player is going to be fd data dot subflow inputs dot game command dot player dot toString. So what we want to do is we want to do for var I let I equal to 0, I is less than or equal to players dot length I plus plus. If current player is equal to players I, if not, return players I. So basically, we're going to look through this list of players, and whichever one is not the player that just took their turn, it's going to set player 4 to the other one. So it flips the turn to the opponent.
Taking you off topic here for a second, is this instance on Xanadu? Do you have any plans to upgrade this to Xanadu and see how Xanadu breaks everything we've done thus far?
I don't think no, we're still on DC for this one. I will probably not be upgrading this one. I don't know. That's I probably will, because UI Builder has a number of new features in Xanadu, like responsive design, that would probably be useful for this. So yeah, we probably will upgrade this to Xanadu.
And we can showcase and play around with that and see how much less I'm going to complain about UI Builder.
I may do the upgrade offline and validate that everything's still working offline. That way we don't have to take up an episode of,
oh yeah, we won't do that. We'll just do it
figuring
offline.
out the upgrade stuff.
Jace is suggesting not to do it until we get the back end done, and we're just about there, because yeah, we want Xanadu for the UI Builder stuff, so we'll schedule appropriately. He did ask for clarification as to which of those logic statements you want.
For this one?
Look, yes.
Yeah, so basically, what I'm getting is the first thing I'm getting here is this list of players, which should always be 2. Then I'm getting the current player, the person who just issued the take turn command. And what I'm saying is basically find the player who is not the current player and return that person. Set current turn 4 to that opponent player.
Wait, why are we doing that if we've already declared a winner? Isn't the game over?
Remember that we moved it out of the victory condition. So this update game record will apply whether we have a winner or not.
Oh.
If there is a winner, it will be set. The state will be set to either playing or completed, depending. And current turn 4 will be set to. Oh, I need to flip that. I think that's what Jace was talking about.
He's got a few more comments there in the chat if you want to take a look about that.
Yeah, that's what Jace was saying, was that not Jace makes no sense. That's what Jace was pointing out. So yeah, basically I had to change this to a not equal because what I had before was this, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever and would always yield bad results. So this will be executed regardless of whether we have a victory condition or not, and the values will be selected based on whether we've met the victory condition. All
right.
So then we update our game command.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing that we got to do here is set our event parameters, which choice fields are finicky. So we're going to go script mode on this one.
You and your script mode.
Data dot subflow inputs dot game command dot no fd data dot flow var dot and we're doing hit marker. All right, so hit marker, ship sunk, and winner. Done. For save. All right, now where is this? Now there is one other thing I want to update, which is on the Ready Player one.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe that we've done the logic for this entire application in Flow Designer.
Mark the player ready. Yeah, so basically on our Ready Player one, what I'm not accounting for in it currently is once both players are ready, I have to initialize the turn. Let's test the take turn first. Let's test this one, make sure this one's working correctly, and then go back and fix the ready player. All right, so let's check our state. We've got a Death Star for able tutor. So system administrator is going to be the one taking shots.
Mm-hmm.
So what we want to do is, let's fix this list layout a bit. Let's move row up before column. Let's actually put player up front. Player, ship, save. And I don't need those. All right, better. All right. So Able has the Death Star in these locations. And we want to, I'm going to create a new take turn so we can track on it a little bit better. Wait, what cell do we want to shoot at first? Let's just go to the origin first. 0, 0, system administrator, take turn, submit. All right, so now
you're manually creating some of these.
Yeah, so basically I want to take that command that I just created, which is this one down here, and run that test. This one should result in a miss. I think I forgot some things. No, I did not. All right, let's see. Reload form. All right, so you'll notice that system administrator took a turn, so it flipped to able. I do not want to take a turn for able yet.
Did that turn give you the miss marker that it needed to?
Well, actually, no. Now that I think about it, it might be okay because Abel's would be a miss, so it wouldn't check victory logic yet. So let's try it. Take turn. Abel. He'll fire at the origin location as well. And then we'll test the next one. Oh, I did not get a game event on the last. Oh, yes, I did. 0, 0, turn taken. And it was a miss.
This guy sucks at guessing.
So now, Abel just took a turn. It was a miss. No ship sunk. No winner. Coordinate X and coordinate Y. And it flipped it to administrator for the current turn.
Okay, so all that's working good.
So eventually I'll be able to add into this flow, if it's my turn, do these things. If it's not my turn, throw an error. So eventually we'll be able to extend the logic to improve anti-cheating.
Nice.
Okay. So next, let's get a hit on the Death Star at 6-5. So game command 6-5. Administrator.
And again, we're testing this to hit the Death Star to see if the victory condition triggers appropriately.
Yes.
So we're manually playing through the game without a UI.
Yep. Okay, test finished. So we'll reload. We got a new game event. And listed as a miss. Row 6, column 5.
So why was that a miss?
It should not have been. So let's take a look at it and see what happened. So look up record. No record found. If no record found. So for some reason, it found no record. So game where player is not equal to System administrator. Column 6. Oh, because it was looking at column 6, row 5. Row is Y, column is X. I had them flipped. That's why. Let me assist my brain and flip those.
That's backwards.
Well, I mean, if you prefer, I can flip the row column instead. Coordinate X, coordinate Y, and I can flip this one and be column and row.
That works.
Okay.
But the XY needs to be like X.
Yeah, I know.
I think like anybody.
So yeah, basically, I fired on 6.5 when I needed to fire on 5.6.
Well, you need to correct that notion.
So we're gonna cheat and take another turn. And
this is the stuff we're gonna have to work on to prevent.
Let me just go back and just flip it here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just retest the same one. All right, close that. Retest that same. All right, let's see if that got us what we're looking for.
It did. I believe in the heart of the cards.
All right, so we've got a turn taken, and we got a hit. So we got a hit. That cell is marked as hit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we're in business. Now,
sink that ship.
Yeah, let's run this a couple more times and get a couple more hits.
Get that victory condition. Cheat, cheat, cheat.
And I'm actually going to add a different... I need another ship. Because otherwise, things will be messed up.
Is the TIE Fighter the 1-block one?
Yeah.
Or 2x1 or something like that?
I don't know if those coordinates are right, and I'll adjust those later. Basically, I needed to have a second ship because I want to be able to actually test, is there another ship? I want to test that middle section of our flow. So Abel will have a TIE fighter, and we'll just put him in 0-0. All right, so now as I go through this, we'll update this one to 4, 5. Run that test. And here momentarily, we should have another hit. Then we'll hit 4, 6. And so if I look at the execution of this one, what we'll see is that there is a hit, but it's not sunk. It's not run on the sunk. It's not run on the victory condition met.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to run this
normal thing. Great shot, kid. No, That was less great shot, kid. That was 1 in a million. That was more great, kid. Now don't get cocky. I got one.
So now we've got the hit, we've got the is sunk, but the victory condition's not met, and that's what we wanted. So if I look at this event, I should have
Not saying ship sunk.
We have a hit and the Death Star was sunk. So we're still tracking. Our everything's adding up. Now we
Okay.
got to sync that last one, which is at 00. So I'm just going to update I'm going to reuse our same game command record. And we will test one more time. And this should hopefully result in victory condition over here.
There it is.
System administrator, state completed. And we should get a event that gives us the winner, a ship sunk, and a hit.
Nice. So does that conclude our main back-end logic for the game engine?
Almost. So the one thing that I think is still missing in terms of requirement for core functionality is when we ready our player. Let's see. Basically, when we ready our players, we have to have a check to see if both players are ready. Because if both players are ready, then we need to update the game state to is playing. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah.
All
Gotta
right.
have everybody with their ships in place and everything before somebody can start knocking them out.
So, so we'll add a lookup in here. And we're going to look up the player table where the game is our current game and our and is ready is false. And the reason we're going to look up is false is because we're going to do that if error check again. So if both players are ready, then this will not return any records, which will trigger an error. Make sense?
Yeah.
So if
Basically, you're looking for you're looking in the bin for people that aren't ready to play, and if there's nobody in the bin that's not, it's like a double negative. If nobody's in the bin that's not ready to play, that means everybody's ready to play, so we can move.
yes.
Didn't know you could put double negatives into code. I mean, I did know that, but like I never really thought about it.
I mean, I guess technically we could say
I got you thinking now, don't I?
I'm wondering if there's a way that I can rework that logic to be less nonsensical. If is ready is false, if I find any false record, If the error message is not empty, so if no records are found, if no false records are found, then everybody is ready. Is everyone are all players ready? Are all players ready? Actually, no, need to rework that. All players are ready because it's an if. If all players are ready.
So basically, then you'd look at the players assigned to that game and then look and see if they are ready to play that game.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible for a user to be assigned to more than one game at once?
In theory, yes. Nothing in the game engine is currently preventing it, but it's also not preventing players from taking turns when it's not their turn. So like that's where I go back to my statement that we're going for a bare minimum game engine here. That additional logic can always be added later.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like someone in the chat earlier asked about would we make it so that unauthenticated players can play the game? It's like that's an option you could choose, but well, I didn't think we were going to cover that right here.
No, they can register as a user and go through the CSP portal to create themselves as a what is it, the consumer record.
It is
the
I was
consumer
like,
one
it's
that's the
either the
public role.
customer, I think it's the consumer one.
Yeah. What was I doing? Update the state. Okay, so if all players are ready, then we need to update to playing. And current turn 4, we're going to keep this relatively simple. Let players equal to fd data dot inputs dot game command dot game dot players dot to string, because that worked out before, dot split on that. That gives me an array, and then I'm just going to return the first player.
Robert Webb says, if all players are ready, drop and clean.
Player ready. All right. Did I publish the take turn? I don't think it did.
No, you force saved it like a good Jedi, but I don't think you actually published it.
All right, let's see. So now let's for a moment pretend that Abel was not yet ready. So we are still in the planning phase of this record. And I'll create a new one. Set player ready. Able tutor. And configure list layout. State. I do want to add this one to the list. Make sure these are all updating. Okay, they're all being marked as success. Okay. So now let's test this on our latest record. And it should update our current turn 4 and our state. Hooray. And if I were to set, let's make sure. Okay, both of those are true. All right, so now let's flip both of these to false. Clear our current turn 4. Put that back into planning. And now if I test this, we should just get able ready, but the current turn 4 and the state should stay the same. Perfect.
Because both of them aren't ready.
Right.
All right.
So we'll run it one more time with the other condition. And there we go. So at this point, we can now use our subflows to step through from end to end. We have our join game somewhere.
It's in there.
We have a join game somewhere, don't we?
Did you name it something else? Are you looking at the subflows?
Here, let's go to Studio and see what artifacts I have. I'd be mad if they went away. That would suck. Flow designer, flows. Yeah, there we go. So we've got our join game. We've got our play ship. So basically, once a player joins a game, they can start putting ships on the board using play ship. Once they've placed all their ships on the board, they can then mark themselves as ready to play. Once both players are ready to play, then they begin taking turns, starting with player 1. They take turns back and forth. If there's a hit, then it checks to see if the ship was sunk. If the ship was sunk, then it checks the victory condition. If all ships were sunk, then the victory condition is met and the game is completed. So with these 4 subflows, we can now, through the test functionality, we can test our way through an entire game from end to end. We can generate the game record and go all the way through. And just to check on something, our join game does handle. And you guys probably can't see this because it popped up in a different window. And it won't let me add it to the tabs because it did a pop-up window. Okay, if matching game is, yeah, and our join game handles matchmaking. So it looks for an existing game. So yeah, at this point, our 4 subflows give us the basic controls we need to play a game from beginning to end with 2 players. Play ship handles rotating the ships. It handles edge collisions on the board. At least in theory, it handles edge collisions. I don't know if it's 100% accurate, but it'll be fun to find out. Take turn handles everything it needs to handle. So at this point, we should be able to play a game end to end, except for the fact that right now these subflows have no trigger. Nothing actually kicks them off, which is why every time I've had to do the test to determine if it works. So next time on Dragon Ball Z, we're going to actually
do UI builder.
Huh?
Do UI builder stuff.
Not yet.
Oh
Not
my
yet.
gosh.
I know. We're getting there. Basically I have to set up the trigger. Essentially, we'll need a flow, an event. We will need something that triggers the processing of the queue.
That's right. We have to have something to like hook all this up to.
Right. So basically, when a command is issued, we will need some kind of business rule to either kick off an event or to uh, basically, we will have to have something in place that only allows the flow to execute one at a time.
Mhm.
We don't want every command insertion to generate a flow context,
Yeah.
because that would basically allow commands to be executed out of order. For a given game, there should only ever be one um, one command being processed at a time per game. And so that's going to require a little bit of throttling, which is something I've done before. Uh,
Did you do it in the legacy version?
I can't talk about where, when, or why. Sorry, I'm
On projects that required clearance?
um, basically, I had to synchronize something on the through the service through ServiceNow's events table, where basically I would look up an event, and if one had already been triggered, then I would not do it again, and it allowed me to do kind of a synchronized execution of commands. I think I'm going to have to do something similar with
Mhm.
this.
I love
Uh,
that pause where you were, like, self-editing, like, "Can I talk about this? Can I do this? Can I say
yes,
this? I
yes.
can't even say this."
Yes, I had to sort through what was a generic ServiceNow process without explaining any of the details of what I was actually doing with that process. Um,
As soon as you were done saying that, I was gonna pile on and be like, "Yes, Robert Webb is
basically,
correct. We just need to let whoever spams the fastest win."
for those that are familiar with the concept, I basically debounced the event ServiceNow's event queue. Is essentially what I did. I debounced the event queue. And it is something that works even with ServiceNow's event system. Usually, debouncing is something you do client side in JavaScript land. Um, but you can also do it on ServiceNow's server side event queue. So we'll be doing something along those lines. I think I still have to work out some of the details on it, because this is not something I did in the last version, and it had bad implications. Like it created some major issues for people trying to go through the lab, because certain things that I did not work properly if the commands got executed out of order. And it happened sometimes by accident in the process of doing the lab. So I'm going to try and correct that this time around. But once we have that process working, um, from a server standpoint, the game engine will be running. That's the last thing that we need for the game engine to be running. So that's what we will look into handling next time. And to answer your question, Robert, so we are tracking on this current turn 4, we are tracking whose turn it is, but the command processing does not currently take that into account. So players could spam commands on their turn, um, and abuse the system currently.
I say we leave it
In the future,
abusable.
we can add that sort of um, uh, command validation in the process. And we do currently support the ability in our game events to issue errors. The reason we haven't done that yet is just because we are in a dead sprint to get to the front end. Everybody's really excited to get to the service portal versus the service portal next experience head to head, to see us build out the UI in those two different frameworks. So we're skimping on some of the error handling, some of the command validation, the anti-cheat. We're really skimping on a lot of that stuff so that we can get to the front end.
I say
We'll go
that
back and add
you
that other stuff later.
No, I say you don't add it, and then you have a competition for who can come up with the funniest ways to hack this system. It's a lesson in security and making sure you do things right.
That could be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Hackers tournament.
There you go. I'm not going to think up serious ideas, but in all reality, it does show all the ways that something can be exploited on this platform, and gives people, kind of those bounty programs where you find the bug and a company will pay you $50,000. I mean, we ain't paying nobody no money, but we'll laugh at what you do.
We will celebrate you publicly on an episode of Code Creative Live.
And then there's this. Robert says it exactly. Who is chaos in our relationship?
Yeah, that's accurate. That's very accurate.
There's always one, and I'm both of them. All right, so does that wrap us up for tonight?
I think it does. I think this is a really good stopping point, and next time we can work on building out the triggers.
Will you be triggered?
I knew you were going to take that one.
It was right there. I had to. But okay, we are marching ever closer to building a UI for this game engine, and we're doing it right. Like me, I'm going to get like halfway there. Then I'm going to be like, okay, let's put the UI in place and then see what doesn't work and then go build some more logic. So,
yeah, I mean, this is great. I mean, we've got like 2 hardcore UI dev folks, and we're eight episodes in and haven't touched UI yet. This is great.
yeah, well, yes. There's our title right there.
Trigger warning. uh
All right, well, that concludes our time. We've made a lot of progress today getting some more of that logic figured out. So next time we'll tie it all together with some triggers and make a lot of trigger jokes about it. Anything else you wanted to cover today, sir?
I don't think so. I'm looking forward to next time on getting the game engine completed so we can move on to fun things. Although we may still have to do GraphQL or REST API type stuff. So we might not be at UI yet, but we will be one step closer. By like episode 11 or 12, we should definitely be in the UI side.
Next app we build, I'm going to make, no, I'm going to build HTML first, and I'm going to go the exact opposite way that we've gone with this. That's how I build things. I'm like, I need to make this look how I want it to look. Then I'm like, okay, what do I need this to do? So we'll have to show it going back the other way too.
We are so close. I'm looking forward to this.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining, and hope to see you next time.
All right. Have a good one.